Hello and welcome to another episode of our Cheyenne and Arapaho Productions podcast, coming to you from the Cheyenne and Arapaho Productions Media Multiplex. Hey, check us out, right? It's great to be here. I'm your host, Darren Brown, and with me today is Governor Reggie Wassana. Thanks for being here, sir.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We also have our Damon Dunbar, who's the Executive Director of Housing.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
All right. And we're here to talk about this is exciting stuff, man. Duplexes. This duplex housing project here in Concho, America. Who wants to start?
You know, Darren, this is probably the first new builds that the tribe will have on tribal land here at the campus of Concho since the old school days, the Concho school days. So it is kind of a groundbreaking. It is something that's essential, that is needed, you know, for the quality of life of our elders and for those families that want to be a little bit outside of the city life. And I think with what Damon has accomplished through grant writing, and he can fill you in on a little bit more of that. But so it is groundbreaking that I don't think you've seen any new family-oriented living quarters here at Concho since the old Concho school days, in which those are being removed little by little due to the dilapidation, and they're just going into ruins at this point. But so it's great. It's great. It's a great accomplishment, and we'll be doing that here soon.
Yeah, I know that since I've been working with the tribes, you know, we've got this brand new gym, and we've got a new courthouse, and then I guess they're doing some work on the post office over there, and we've got a convenience store. So it's
and a food pantry.
Yeah, all kind of stuff since the short time I've been working here. And then I heard this, I'm like, are you kidding me, man? Duplexes. I mean, like I said, I don't live out here, but it's a very exciting kind of thing. So I know, Damon, we were talking earlier. Could you, just for those people I'm trying to say this. For those people who don't know anything about this, would you kind of give us kind of a background of where did this start? And had this been like in discussion for years or that type of thing?
Well, since when I was at Planning and Development here at Concho with the direction of Governor Wassana, we went through several times to try to get this going. We applied several times through HUD, the HUD competitive grant, which is more $5 million back then than $6 million. Now it's up to $7.5 million. But we tried several times and we were unsuccessful. But we continued on because we knew the need was there. And while we was collecting all the data to show the needs to HUD that we had these needs for family units and elder units, we were finally successful this time with the $6 million grant.
And how many residences are we looking at?
So we're looking at, when we put it out for bid, we were able to come up with 4 elder duplexes and 5 family duplexes, which the elders will be 2-bedroom and the families will be 3-bedroom duplexes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, you mentioned need. Let's talk about that. Are we talking folks from El Reno area or different tribal communities out this way?
For right now, it is the El Reno needs. We have a lot of needs here. We keep hearing everybody. I'm paying quite a bit for rent. They don't have a place to rent. And then also when we go out to the different areas of the tribal service area, we collect data from all there too. And we have the same needs, whether it's in Gary, Oklahoma, or whether it's in Sealing, Oklahoma, Woodward, the same thing. Everybody's needing a place to stay.
Yeah, because I know that I'm guessing that in those smaller communities, I'm assuming that housing, good, fairly new housing is probably hard to come by anyway, and when you do, I'm sure it's not cheap.
Correct. For $6 million or $4.8 million, what we awarded the bid for, we're getting 18,000 square foot, which I believe roughly is about $270 a square foot. So the inflation has caused prices to go up considerably.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that. Well, I know that you guys we were just talking before we started. When it comes to federal grants like this, it's all about those numbers, man. They want numbers. They want data. I'm sure you guys had to do a lot work to get those numbers ready to go, right? A lot of prep.
Correct. Like I said, when we do our outreach, you see our housing fairs, you see us go out and talk to the public, and I let them know what we're doing. And I said, please fill out your survey so we can collect that and compile it and send it in with our grant application. That gives it merit to actually award us, and they've seen that this time.
And then, Governor, I know you worked for housing for some years before. He said at least some years. So I know that you're familiar with that, the all the hoops you have to jump through there, right?
Well, you know that old saying, "I seen fire and rain," and you know some of the things that Damon touched on is, of course, the grant amount has definitely went up. But when I was in housing, we could get a nice 3-bedroom. 12,000 square foot home for $75,000. You can't find those homes anymore. Now you're looking at $120,000 minimum. So the price.
Wait a minute, you said 12. You mean 1,200?
1,200 square feet.
Yeah,
you said
1,200 square feet. 12,000 square foot home.
Okay.
Sign me up, baby.
Exactly. You always have all these numbers, so it's kind of hard.
I didn't want somebody to call us on that.
Yeah.
You know?
But things have changed dramatically. Even when I could buy 20 houses on our block grant and get those out, now it's probably difficult for them to buy 10 houses because they may be averaging $125,000, $135,000 a house, which our block grant hasn't changed, but definitely the cost have went up. Like he said, was it $200-something a square foot? When I was in there, if you hit $100 a square foot, you were like living in luxury, and we always
high on the hog, right?
We always thought $100 a square foot was max, and it was one of those really super nice houses. Now we're talking $200-something a square foot, which is remarkably high for me, what I would say. But it's just all the lumber cost, all the steel cost, concrete cost. You can't get today what you could get back then. And not only that, but
back then you didn't have all these tariffs either.
Yeah, well, exactly, exactly. So you're if you go bought a 2x4 then, it may have been $2 to $4 a board, and now it might be whatever $8, $10, whatever it is now. So you definitely see the escalation in price. But the tribes have always, even when I was there, wanted to bring the quality of life to a comfort level with our families. The kids sometimes don't have those proper living conditions. You may have overcrowding. You may have dilapidated housing. You might have sewer and water that don't function and work as well. So it's always a difficult task. But like Damon said, we've always been trying, and we always still are trying. Believe me, we're trying to rack our brains a lot of times trying to figure out how can we put more homes on the ground. But like I said, this was the first time that we've been able to do it. We've got a little better infrastructure. We're still working on the water here at Concho to make it reliable everywhere instead of one distribution point. We like to have two distribution points, but we just want to make it more comfortable, more economically a benefit that you don't have to go to town. You don't have to pay $800, $1,200 a month. Those things. Now, unfortunately, it is a low-income program, so those residents will have to qualify under the low-income guidelines. I know a lot of people feel that I'm a tribal member. How can I get it? But, when HUD comes in and they do their checks and they do their monitoring, they're always checking those income guidelines. So as sometimes as we have to say no to people, it's tough and it's difficult because we understand we're all tribal members and we all feel that should benefit all of us. But when we get grants and contracts from the federal government, it's difficult that when they put those requirements that you have to be low income under this certain income guideline, then that's what we have to do. And although some people get upset, when you take somebody else's money, you have to follow their guidelines. So it's a little different.
Yeah,
a little different.
Preach. And so when you talk about federal guidelines, one thing I think we had been discussing is that I'm sure there are a lot of people who fall right above that line that the federal government's giving you, but they fall right below the line where we think they would be. As well as that is it. there's a difference between paying your bills and having that much left over, and paying your bills and having like that much left over, like nothing. And I think we've all been there, walking a thin line. And I'm sorry, Damon, you want to jump in here?
I would like to touch on the income guidelines. Now, back when Reggie was back in it was pretty low.
Back in the old days?
Back in the old days. And also when I came in, it was like about $75,000 for a family of 4, the maximum. So it's gone up. 2025 now, a family of 4 can make up to $86,000. And the 80% above the median income, 80% of the median income. So it has raised quite a bit. And also the rent, because they have those needs. I have tremendous rent I'm paying. The low-income rent out here will be a maximum of $100 and a maximum of $450 and minimum $100. Yeah. And that's for the elders. Now, elders, if you're 62 and above, it's 300 max.
Capped,
yes.
Well, that's good.
Yes. And we actually have some rental homes here at housing, but no one's moving out because that rent's so feasible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we're still trying to increase that. So we're always thinking outside the box when it comes to housing, trying to figure out how we're going to get more units out to the families, how we're going to get more elders into these homes. So it's a never-ending process.
When you talk about elders, just people in general, at the beginning of this, we talked about how exciting it is. It's something that hasn't happened. New residences, my gosh, we're probably talking, 60 years or so?
Yeah.
50?
At least.
We're 20, the older I get, I forget that, 50 years ago was only 75.
I'm not sure if these homes out here were built in the 50s. Late 50s, mid 50s.
Maybe we're talking 70 years.
So in one of the things about the homes that were here is that they've all been removed.
Yeah, they're gone.
And most of them weren't livable. Although we had some people in there living, it wasn't.
They're not ideal at all.
It wasn't a situation where you wanted to have people. So we did move those people out, and there are no living quarters any longer out here at Concho. And it was part of trying to beautify the campus, because you had so many older wooden frame dilapidated houses that were kind of a hazard in themselves, that they could probably go up in any minute. And I believe we had a few fires in some of the houses, and the plumbing was an issue, and
just inadequate.
There was a lot of concerns.
Correct.
So we did remove all those living quarters, and that's why we're coming back with some new living quarters. So we just want to make sure that everybody knows that we're trying to provide what we took away back to the area. So I think that'll work out really great.
And you mentioned earlier about something about just families in general, and I think here we are in the education department at the multiplex, but we just get the opportunity to see and speak with so many kids and students and stuff, and I firmly believe, and I've always believed that those kids, man, if they don't have the proper housing, my gosh, if you don't have the proper, like you talked about, sewer and water and electricity and heat and air, cooling and heating, you don't. There's so much goes into raising those children, where if they can't function and be warm or cool in a decent climate. They're certainly not going to be able to learn, and but that all works together. You may have, the needs of high school kids are different from the needs of preschool kids and all ages, and then you throw elders into the mix. They have different needs, and so I think, even though construction is exciting, I think that, just like you were talking about. It's more than just putting up buildings, it's putting up, structures that can be homes.
It's the adaptation of the structure itself. Elders take care of their homes a little better than a 6-7-year-old kid that comes crashing through the doors and puts a hole in the wall or marks on a wall and all these great things. So when we did look at the design of the elders, we took under certain situations and circumstances that they're not going to treat the house like a young elementary student maybe, and they'll take care of it. And sometimes the needs are a little different as well. So we try to develop those units that would be elderly friendly, and we try to make sure when we do the multifamily housing units that they're durable and that they can maybe take a little bit of abuse. They don't always all wear and tear the same, but we understand. And we were all kids. We did things stupid, growing up in houses, and maybe it put a hole in the wall or threw some darts. So
you too, huh?
So we understand.
Yeah,
so we try to develop those housing units to the people who are going to live in there.
Well, and that brings up a question. Does that mean, and I didn't ask before, but does that mean that we're like ADA compliant, or do those apply to the elders' homes?
That's correct. Since I already did the RFP for the design build, we went ahead and awarded it in August. We already started with the 30% design meeting, and we met with the governor, and we went over all that with him. We all discussed everything with the elders and the families, where we need to make some changes, what they perceived, what they had, and we wanted it to be the way we want it. And it's pretty good as far as the design goes. One thing I would like to touch on real quick is that all these units will have a FEMA safe room in it, built into it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. So the safety of our tribal members is a factor that we take into consideration. And I also shared with the construction company, which is Narcomi Construction out of Tulsa. They're completely native-owned. Is that our colors are the Cheyenne colors, our Arapaho colors. I said, you don't have to use every color, but we want some of our cultural colors, and I showed them what the significance was of it. So they kind of know where we're coming from as a tribe, and get this into these elders and family duplexes.
I guess my next question is: do the families, has there already folks approved and selected, or
no?
I mean, I know I don't want to be jumping the gun here. I'm just saying, because I can assume there's going to be a huge demand. There's got to be some sort of really tough process here for you guys.
I've already discussed with the board, because we have the rental homes, we have a rental policy. We are going to have to expand that for the Concho. Now, because it is on tribal trust property, all of our other rental properties are in towns and local. So we're going to have to incorporate that into the policy and try to get everything going as far as in compliance with HUD and in compliance with the tribes to make sure that everything is good.
Sure. And you mentioned water earlier. I'm assuming that those all... I mean, this has to happen kind of at the same time, right?
I believe we have water right now, but for the whole campus.
Oh, okay. I didn't. That's what part I didn't get. Okay.
So that's why we planned those positions where we did, so that we could have the water. But for the whole campus, we want to make sure that anytime we look at putting a facility or additional housing, that we do have water. So we position these units where we have water accessibility, but we do want to go on the eastern part of the campus, down by the casino and our other buildings, and do some type of water distribution center down there. And because we ship our water already a mile, and a lot of times if something happens in between here and there, or or our water plant shuts down here, it shuts everything on the east side. So we are working on trying to get that resolved, and it doesn't happen a lot, but if it continues to happen, we're always having to go on the east side of the campus down by the highway and say the water plant isn't working right or something. So we do understand the need, but right now we positioned those units by resources of water and, of course, great. Sewer. So we try to always look at infrastructure first.
Yeah,
so that
obviously you don't want to build something and then go, oh, we got to put in all the stuff.
Hey, I've heard of that happening. Actually, I've heard of building housing.
Oh, we were supposed to put like lines in here.
Yeah,
I had no
housing
idea.
developments without sewer and water. I've actually heard of that. So
call it an outhouse, right?
Or barn.
Yeah,
looks like a house. It looks like a house.
But on the water situation, we've already had some meetings with IHS, and I've sat in with planning and development, talking about the water, and I always bring up our new duplexes. So we're factoring in that type deal.
So you guys are on top
use,
of that, right?
That use already.
Yeah.
So IHS knows what the use of these facilities will be.
Mm-hmm. What are we talking about the timeline? Are we talking like this? I mean, from the time we break ground, and I think you guys said break in the first part of 26, right?
Correct. Like I said, it's already been awarded. They're already starting the design and everything. I awarded the environmental. That should be done in about 8 weeks, and after 8 weeks, then we'll have a more definite time frame to do a ribbon cutting. Then groundbreaking, and they'll be able to start. And I think we'll be starting early 2026, and approximately about 12 months to get everything wrapped up and finished up.
So we could look at basically January of 27.
Maybe spring of 27, I would say, completion.
Spring of 27 at the latest.
Yeah.
Or at the earliest, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's just call it the latest. So we're talking, yeah, I mean, we're not talking one, we're talking 9, and in 2 separate locations. That's
Correct.
what I think people are these going to, I guess they're going to happen simultaneously,
Correct.
working on both at the same. See, that's a little ambitious too, I believe.
The elders will come first. We had that game plan. He said he plans on doing all the elders first, and then he'll just switch over to the families and start in there. It's more feasible for them to do one area, then go to the next one and finish up. So it's going to be a quick timeline just to get it going.
I just think it's so. I know that, like I said, the older homes that you had mentioned. I would see people live there now and then, but I didn't know, who lived there or whatever. But I think that's will be kind of it'll bring some sort of vibrance out here to Concho, some sort of new community style thing happening. I mean, it almost makes it feel like, well, then if there are families out here, then we need to build more stuff.
Yeah, and
I'm guessing that's in the price. I'm guessing that's in the works from the plans.
Of course, we want to expand. We like to expand. We want to add more. We're considering on adding more units now to get funds appropriated and see how many more units that we can add so that we can get more people out here. But when we place the elders by the food pantry,
sure,
on purpose.
Yeah,
so we kind of felt if there was a need or they could actually just walk to the food pantry and try to get some food. So we tried to designate certain areas for intentionally that would best fit those people occupying the units. So that's what we tried to do. But yes, we like to expand, and we already talk about growth. And I think Damon might actually be working on some other grant applications in a year or so that we could actually complement what we're doing already and get more tribal members out there. But yeah, it'll definitely liven up the campus again. You'll see more people, more use, probably people riding their bikes. But we just put in all these great sidewalks that'll help the youth. And kids like to play either skateboard, bikes, or anything like that. So it'll make a great area that kids can play and congregate, things like that.
I would like to touch on the grant. We are actually under contract with the grant consultant to go after the next IHBG competitive grant.
Tell me what what did you say?
Indian Housing Block Grant.
Thank you. I knew it was something like that.
And actually it went up this year, $7.5 million is the ceiling. We got awarded the ceiling last 2 years ago, so we're going after that. I'm working with the contractor right now and his A&E to go ahead, and I said, if you can go ahead and mirror your design to where, and then gray them out, say it's future, so we can show HUD we have that plan. We want to build more out here. We want to show that we have that need to develop. So I think with that type deal is that it's going to show another good grant application where we can expand more elders, expand more families out here. We also talked about maybe doing a few homes in El Reno on some of the property that housing owns. So we're planning more units here. Yes.
I'm not aware of how what do we housing own? What am I trying to say? I can't speak today. You mentioned
Lots.
property that housing owns in El Reno. I mean, a number of lots.
It was some vacant lots when Governor Wassana was in there. He was buying some property back then. We still have it, and they're big enough to develop with some homes or
Okay.
something, or tiny homes. We actually,
That is a great concept.
so I wanted to mention that because we did just recently get awarded from the Federal Home Loan Bank Native American Housing Initiatives. We got $500,000 from them
Just the other day.
just the
Wow.
other day.
Well, let's talk about when I think most. I mean, I know what tiny homes are, but for some people, they may not. That sounds like who wants to live. You know, you might say, why would I live in a tiny home? I'm not a tiny person. so let's Damon talk about what they are.
Okay.
For those who don't know,
So we actually put it into this little grant application.
this little grant application. He said,
Well, 500,000.
the tiny grant.
3 veteran tiny homes. Now, as I've sat in some of these tiny home conferences and different type of housing conferences. A lot of the tribes are using tiny homes for veterans because veterans are trying to get them off the streets and trying to get them in small units, and they're more accustomed to having something small. And we were looking at maybe putting 3 either out here or maybe on a property in the El Reno. So that's going to be in the works. I have a piece of property out here south of the casino, which we were going to clear out and possibly put them out there. So there's several areas that we could put those tiny homes. Now, tiny homes are small, 1 bedroom.
Like efficiency apartments.
Yeah, real
Very,
efficiency
very
apartment.
efficiency.
So it would have to be someone who could be able to live like that. Now, not a lot of people want that tiny, small place, but some people would.
Yeah.
So
but the ones I've seen, I mean, they're just like you said, they're called efficiencies, but that's what they are. I mean, if you have a kitchen, a bathroom, and a bedroom, even if it's a bedroom / living room, that's really all you need. I mean, if you live by yourself, I mean, do we have an average square footage? I mean,
I can't remember 700-800.
It might be between 600 and 800 square
because
feet.
It's
I
not
know
real
that
big.
when I was back in my apartment days, when I was single on the mingle, 700 square feet was like
Yeah.
pretty big. I was like,
Yeah.
I got room to stretch out. So I think that would be ideal for someone, especially who it doesn't entertain folks.
Yes. So we really are excited about this because it's like a pilot project. We put 3 veterans into tiny homes, and we'll see how that works out. If it works out, then we'll go with more. I've seen other tribes, they've done tiny home veterans villages.
Yeah,
And they're all
I've seen that.
They're all tiny homes, and they're all veterans, and they seem to get along very well.
That makes a lot of sense.
So.
Darren, one of the things that's really great about the Concho campus is the whole outdoors. We have ponds out here. We have trees. We have livestock, buffalo, whatever we have out here. But if you're a veteran, and some veterans want to be left alone, they don't want to be
That's true.
bothered. And sometimes a tiny home fits certain ones. But, you could walk around down to the ponds. You could fish. You could just kind of enjoy life, and that's something that you don't get in town. And a lot of people like to just go out and see the sky and the flowers and the trees and walk the earth, so to speak. So that is a good concept. And a lot of people don't want the huge houses that it takes so much responsibility to keep and heat, cool. And a lot of people just like being right there and have everything, within distance that they don't have to exhaust themselves getting to another room.
Let's just, it's amazing as human beings, it's like, just like we were talking about being kids and growing up and getting older. When you're a kid, you're thankful for whatever. You don't know, sometimes you don't realize how good you got it, or you don't realize how bad you got it. You know what I'm saying? We grew up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Sometimes you grow up, as long as you got a place to sleep and you got a water hose to drink out of, you're fine. You think you're living large.
Yeah.
Water hose,
Somewhere in our 20s, we think, or in our 30s, or we think we need a 2,000 square foot house, and then if you do get close to that, you're like, my God, what was I thinking? I'll never be able to pay this thing off. And then once you get a certain age, you're like, yeah, I could do fine with 700 or 800 square feet. I just funny how that happened. We see that we realize, I don't need a big backyard because I don't want to mow all year long. I'm just telling you guys. After Halloween, I'm done mowing for the year. I'm not doing it anymore.
Regardless of how high
yes, exactly. I don't care if it's knee high. I'm like, no, but I think it is a thing, and especially if you're talking about veterans, someone who's they don't need to mow the grass, and they don't need to be doing yard work and out in the heat or the cold, And I think that makes perfect sense. And I think as you get older, you learn to be content. If you're a smart person, at some point you're like, I don't need that or that or that. I just need this right here.
Right.
And I can think you were talking about, the simple things, getting all philosophical here and, getting all real indigenous. No, but the truth is, you just want to walk out, on a piece of land that it's not totally fenced in.
Right.
You want to be able to walk out and not have to hear traffic and trucks going by all day long, And
That's
so
true.
it makes sense for someone who's a veteran and maybe just wants to be left alone.
And like I said, even the buffalo. I mean, we're planning on trying to do an overlook.
Yeah.
To go out and see the buffalo without the buffalo going through the fence or something, having a safe place to view them. So even then, they could walk and look and watch the buffalo, or just kind of, gaze at them, because a lot of people don't get that beauty, so to speak, in town or where they live. So Concho, this property we have is a great place, And we'd like to see more units, and I'm sure that we'll definitely go in that route at some point.
All right. Well, keep those grants coming. Keep working on them. I feel like, is there any more? I feel like I just got a whole bunch of information and we pushed it out to the folks who are watching and listening.
I would like to touch in real quick, since we were talking about veterans. We applied again. Housing had the HUD, the HUD bash, Veterans Affairs Service, which helps pay for their rent. Of course, they have to go to the VA, get everything approved, then they come to us and then pick out a home. We go inspect it, make sure everything looks good, and then we start paying their rent. For years, I guess, we've been allowing them to pay the 30% of the rent. When we found out from HUD that actually we can pay 100% of the rent, and we increased the vouchers up to 5 more. So now instead of 20 veterans, we're doing 25 a year, which I think that's going to help a lot of people.
Yeah.
So we're trying to provide a service to the veterans.
We've already got veterans housing that we're already accomplishing, and like Damon said, their assistance has gone up that they can help veterans with, and increasing the numbers.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff happening.
Yeah.
Like I said, before we go, I want to thank you guys for being here and getting me hip to what's going on, because I knew a little bit about it, but for our purposes, are there plans and are there artist renderings we can see, or you can share?
Yes, we have some, and I can send them to you email if you want to take a look. They're just 30% drawings. I started presenting them at our meetings. I gave the
That's kind of what I thought I heard that.
I went to the housing fair. I presented them there and did a presentation on it.
That's gone over well, I assume?
It did. Yeah.
And we'd encourage people, I think Damon advertised those housing fairs, but just for people to see what housing's doing, what's available, and maybe they might want to give comments or suggestions and say, hey,
there are comments, I'll bet.
Well, sometimes, like he said, he goes out and gets the public's comments and suggestions, but on those housing fairs, a lot of times they'll have great information on how to care for your home, apply, and other agencies that they could maybe get housing from. But I think people just need to stop by and say, I think this would be great, because we do have a floor plan, we do have those renderings, but we try to look at those floor plans for accessibility and comfort. And, where is the bathroom as it pertains to the bedroom, as it pertains to the living room? How can we make it more efficient? And how can we keep costs down by making sure the plumbing may be all in one area, that it's not scattered throughout the building, that it's going to cost you more dollars to insert plumbing or water. So we try to be real diligent at all those things that we do. You just don't take a floor plan and say, here it is.
Yeah.
You always want to see
live with it.
Yeah.
Well, like the elderly, if they're in a wheelchair, opposed to their bedrooms, to the kitchen, to the
Sure.
bathroom, how can they get around? And the halls are bigger, so we always kind of understand that anytime we design or propose a project, that we want to make sure those people that's in those projects are well taken care of, or there's, like I said, there's a comfort level that you're not struggling to get in the bathroom door when it's right at whatever 36 or something. We need to make sure it's handicap accessible in there to go in and out with a wheelchair.
And they will be. All the elders will be ADA handicap,
That's great.
including the safe room.
That's good to
so
know.
they can
Yeah.
use wheelchair in and out.
All right. Well, gentlemen, Governor, I want to thank you for being here, and Damon Dunbar,
you.
Executive Director of the Housing Program. Thank you so much for being here. And I feel like I have a much better grasp on what's going on. And if you have, let's let people know if they have any questions about this or questions in general about the housing department. Well, who should they contact, or there's a website or
they can contact us over at housing. It's 580-331-2400. They can ask for resident services, inspection services, or just ask for me, and we'll return the call.
You'll get them going in the right direction.
Correct.
All right. Well, that's all we have for this episode. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time. I hope.
Thank you.
Thank you.